Good afternoon. I'm Julie Youngquist, CEO of Streetwise, and this is my able co-host for the day, Ellie. Welcome to Streetwise. You are all on live for the next 25 minutes on CanTV 21. We're also streaming live on cantv.org/hotline. And you can also join the conversation by calling the number on the bottom of your screen, 312-738-1600. We have a really exciting show for you today. We are going to talk about the current edition of Streetwise magazine, which is about the great Chicago riverfront development. We'll be talking with editor Suzanne Haney. We'll also be talking with our favorite co-host vendor, A. Allen, about the recruitment and training efforts that we do on a regular basis to bring more vendors into our force. We'll also tell you what's happening with Streetwise. And then we're going to have a very special interview with my co-host, Miss Ellie, about some of the work that she does at Streetwise to help keep our vendors motivated and supported. But as always, we're going to start talking a little bit about Streetwise just to make sure everyone, is clear on what we do. We are an organization focused on economic empowerment for Chicagoans facing poverty and homelessness. We produce a weekly magazine, which we talk about regularly here, that we sell to our licensed and trained vendors who sell the magazine to the public, earning profits and tips. They are entrepreneurs invested in their own advancement. We also have a jobs program to prepare people to go back into the traditional workforce. And everyone who comes to Streetwise can get a hot meal, use computers, phones, access their mail, and more importantly, meet with social workers on hand who can provide direct support or referrals for basic living needs, housing, medical, legal, or general support. So if you know anyone who could use more information about Streetwise, please visit streetwise.org. It is what is up on your screen right now. So let's get to it. We are going to have Suzanne join me to talk about this week's issue, the Chicago Riverwalk. Welcome,
Hi,
Suzanne.
Julie. Hi, Julie. Well, it was an editorial decision that we would all do the Riverwalk. So let's take a look at the logo first for the Riverwalk. With the Riverwalk, Chicago has developed a second waterfront. The Riverwalk is basically 1.25 miles between Franklin and Lake Street on the west on the river, all the way to the lake. And it's the south bank of the river. So go ahead and we'll take this picture off. And we'll show you this picture. I'm actually going to start with some of the pictures from my iPad, which was right here. There was an event at the confluence. Let's do an overhead here.
Sure.
So this is the confluence of the river. Can we get a little closer? Okay, this is where the city of Chicago, if you know all our logos, they have a Y. Well, that's because the river makes a Y. There's the main channel, which is the branch we have downtown, and then it goes off to the south side and the north side. So here it is going off to the left. This is the Lake Street L, and this is Franklin Street, and so it's going off under Wacker Drive. And then I'm going to do another couple pictures, and now I'm moving east on the Riverwalk, and this is the Merchandise Mart. And here's some other pictures. And okay, now this is a little further east. This is getting into the area called the Jetties. And we have some more pictures of that.
Here, let's find.
Well, we'll show you some others on the way. This is the Jetties. Now, this area in here, this is all floating gardens. And there's going to be, you can fish there on certain days. You can fish there yourself. You can get a license. There are edible fish in the river that sound interesting. But the Park District also has a program called Fishing at the Jetty, and that one you don't need a license for. Otherwise, you do need an Illinois license. So this is heading east again. And let me see. Now, these are the fountains. These are right near LaSalle Street. Maybe zoom out a little bit. So again, you see the river here, you see the bridge, there's the Merchandise Mart. These are just little fountains. There's a lot like Millennium Park. You can splash in there and the parents can sit down, but the kids can get a little bit wet depending how wet you want to get. Okay, and then we're going still farther. Okay, this is east of LaSalle Street. This is Chicago's First Lady. This is the boat run by the Chicago Architecture Foundation that does the architecture cruises. So the thing about the Riverwalk is it's combining the history, it's combining recreation. There's bars, there's restaurants, there are historic sites on the river. The river is the reason Chicago exists. In the 1600s, there were the explorers Joliet and Father Marquette. And the Indians told them that there was a little bitty, what they called a portage. There was a spot between Lake Michigan and a river that they had to carry their canoes over, but it was only about 4 miles. And so in their heads, they said, well, what if we had a canal and you could actually go all the way from the Atlantic Ocean, down the St. Lawrence River, all the Great Lakes to Chicago, and then a little bitty canal, and then you'd be at a tributary of the Mississippi River, and you could get all the way down the river. And in those days, they didn't have trains. Rivers were the way they carried freight and the way they carried people. So this was a great idea, and that's how Chicago got started. And then we just kept developing new ideas from there. So that's why the history is very important. In time, the river not only became a place that we traveled on, it became a place we traveled over as we had more and more industry. So that's why we have all the different types of bridges. So now let's get here. Let's go to this spot. This is an area, the River Theater. There's also some docks here. City Winery is here. I believe this is the spot. Okay, I'm actually a block farther. This is east of Dearborn. So it's not quite the docks here. But a block west of here is where the Eastland disaster happened. That was Chicago's biggest disaster in terms of loss of life. There was a boat that was going to an employee picnic in Michigan City. It was loaded with people from Western Electric, and it rolled over in the river, and 844 people died. So that is our biggest loss of life. There is a marker there. And they had a centennial observance a couple of years ago where a lot of survivors' families got together. Some people found out that somebody might have been, their grandfather saved their other grandfather. So it was kind of a touching thing for everybody to get together. So again, this is still moving east. This is between Dearborn and State. And now this is near State Street. This is the Chicago maybe zoom out a little bit. This is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. This is around State and Wabash. This was started in 2005. The Riverwalk was actually not done all at one time. Some of it started in 1998. We have a thing here with some historic murals that are down near the lake part of the Riverwalk.
Right.
When they started doing Wacker Drive, they realized they had some extra space on the river, some turnabouts, and so they were able to develop that. They used some TIF money for the area around State and Wabash, and then Mayor Emanuel realized that they were building boathouses. They had 2 boathouses on the North Branch, 2 on the South Branch, and he realized that they could do more with this whole idea. So what the Riverwalk basically is you have all this money coming in from people buying restaurant food, buying booze.
That's a tourist.
It's a tourist attraction, and
it
really is a lot of fun. Everybody tells you they enjoy it. And so everybody's spending money. You have river taxis at certain spots on the river. Some of them go north, some go as far south as Chinatown, some go as far north as Old Town. So in years to come, you've also got housing that's starting to be built on the river north. In years to come, you've got some that'll be built south. So there's money that's happening because people are spending money on food, people are spending money on taxis, and so there's another incentive to spend money on housing, so there's a hope that it'll snowball.
Sure, so it's like our third, we were talking about this, it's like a second lakefront.
It is like a second lakefront.
So the lakefront has been all developed and maybe overdeveloped, and this is, kind of a local version. Yeah.
And it's north and south. And this is at Michigan Avenue. This is the Wendella boats. They run the taxis as well, and this is right below the Wrigley Building. This is the Wrigley Building here. And this is across the street from the Wrigley Building. This is the Bridge House Museum. And again, this is the cultural museum for the Riverwalk. It talks about the relationship of Chicago and the river and the bridges.
And you can see some of the moving
You
bridge
can,
parts
exactly.
from down at river level.
There are actually certain times a year when the bridge leaves open. Like one side will open to allow sailboats to go through. And so that's a set time per year because you can't have the bridge going up and down all the time. There'd just be too much for traffic. So it's by appointment, and they actually have it on their calendar, and you can come in and watch the bridge leaves open because you get to see all the mechanics of it. And it's a special ticket, but it's a lot of, for people who are civil engineers and people who are interested in all of that, it's a lot of fun to watch.
It's a pretty amazing feat in Chicago that I think we have 37 movable bridges, right?
Really?
Which is really shows back to your point about the history, how important the river has been in the growth of commerce and community and culture in Chicago.
For sure. So that's, okay, so now this is down near the riverfront. This is these are a number of murals. This is by the artist Ellen Lanyon. And these go back to 1998. And these actually show Father Marquette and Louis Joliet. It's actually, he's the one for whom Joliet is named. They show him coming and talking to the Indians and finding about the river passage. And then various other things, including Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable's cabin on the river. So they kind of draw all of our history together. And then this picture, this is farther east. I guess we got to show this one.
Oh, almost
this
to
is
Navy Pier.
This is almost to Navy Pier. These are some of the kayaks. This is Lake Point Tower, and these are some of the people starting to get close to the mouth of the river going into the lakefront. So again, and then this. Okay, these are some pictures now. This is another part of what we did. There is actually a study that came out of the whole discussion about the Riverwalk. It's called Great Rivers Chicago, and it's the idea that there are 3 rivers, actually. There's the Calumet on the south, the Chicago River, and the Des Plaines, and they all flow together. And so what can we do with them to build more tourism, etc.? So there are thoughts that by 2030, we will have an idea of jobs on the river. There were actually Metropolitan Planning Council and some other groups convened by the mayor had discussions, and there were 6,000 people who participated. And by 2030, they want to have certain little businesses on the river. Like maybe they can have kayak businesses, restaurants on the south end of the river, and people can be using that for recreation. So some of the pictures we have here, this particular picture is one for, maybe zoom out a little bit. This is actually Ashland Avenue, 35th Street.
Sorry about that.
35th Street and the Orange Line. And so this is very close to one of the boathouses they built, so there's the idea there might be able to be housing here, and of course the transportation will be excellent because you'll be close to the Orange Line, which is right there, and you'll also have there'll be another riverboat stop or a taxi stop. So that looks like something that they're really enthusiastic about. This is one other picture. This is Collateral Channel. This is near El Paseo and La Velita, and they will clean up the Collateral Channel. There's a couple more ideas they have. One of them is to put sort of a, it's a swampy area at the east side of Goose Island, and they would make that a nature preserve and kind of a canoeing area, and it's right adjacent to North Avenue, and it'd be connected by a pedestrian bridge. It'd be also a bike area. That looks like something that's very viable. There's some other things. They want to clean up Riverdale Lake so that it doesn't flood so much. So there's a whole lot of ideas that are coming out of how do we make the river just more of an asset to all of us.
Sure, it's making it more accessible and really making it part of the community and the fabric of the city, because really up until this development, it seemed very utilitarian.
Yes, it did.
Right? Just
yes.
There were a couple boats on there. There wasn't a lot of recreation. It was just this thing in the middle of the city.
Almost industrial use.
Exactly.
But as the industrial use has gone, they're reclaiming it for beauty and recreation and housing.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, so in the magazine, I know we have a lot of pictures in there.
Should we show some more? We'll show some.
Well, but what else is in the magazine about the Riverwalk? We've got a map
We do.
in there.
Well,
we have some listing of some of the restaurants.
Let's zoom in on the Riverwalk here. So this is This is this is what I'm talking about at the confluence. Here's Wacker Drive. They've actually got some Adirondack chairs there, and they have an art installation called Black Tiberius. That's taken its name from the river god in Rome, the Tiber River. And so everybody's able to sit out, there's like a banked area of lawn here, and you're able to sit out and look at the river. And then here you turn, the Merchandise Mart is going to have a light installation in the fall. And then you start going here, you have the floating jetties, you have the fountains, you have the River Theater, which is where the Eastland was, and then you have Tiny Tap Cafe is one of them. That's cocktails, beer and wine on tap. You have the downtown docks. You're going to have City Winery, which is just a little bit west of State Street. It's sustainably served wine and locally made products and menu favorites from their West Loop location.
Oh my gosh, there's all manner of things. So this is a great issue to pick up from your vendor. We've got the map and a list of 16, 18 different things to do along the riverfront. What an amazing, what an amazing guide. Great story, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I want to remind everyone that you are on with Streetwise on CAN TV Channel 21. We are going to welcome back Alan. Come on in, Alan. Get settled.
Yes.
Welcome back to the show. So we have a few more minutes left, and I know that you cannot wait to do your interview with our special little guest.
Yes.
But before, let's talk about some vendor business.
Vendor.
Vendor business.
Vendor.
How does someone become a Streetwise vendor?
Okay.
You want me to show that?
Yes.
All right.
On the overhead, you can see new vendor orientations every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We say from 10 to 12, but it's probably shorter than that. You know, it's according to how much time you have and how you willing to comprehend the orientation. All it is a code of conduct. The code of conduct is how to carry yourself in an appropriate and proper manner when you're out selling papers, and all that is how to be kind, polite, and respectful to customers.
Sure.
Okay, and then not only that, but in your first day of orientation, after orientation, you get 15 free papers, which would be equivalent to $30. And all we ask you to do is save $11.25 so you come back and get some more papers. But the thing is to get your wheels rolling. You know, Streetwise is a great way to get started. Plus, we have a jobs program that you could use Streetwise as a stepping stone until you get a job, a permanent job.
Sure. So why is it better to potentially come into Streetwise and sell the magazine or go through the jobs program than to do nothing?
Oh, doing nothing, it kind of, in my opinion, it takes away from your self-esteem, you know. I mean, if you're out doing something and you're out circulating yourself, you know, you have more potential of doing greater things, you know, than just sitting at home being a couch potato or just out in front of a store panhandling. You know, we believe in a hand up and not a handout.
Absolutely.
And the hand up and not a handout is, you know, people have a tendency to help people that help themselves. And so that's what Streetwise is all about, a hand up and not a handout. It's for people that's willing to go out and willing to try to make things happen for themselves.
Sure, and what also is wonderful about Streetwise is just the community of support that you have at the Streetwise headquarters. There's vendors who have been there, who have done that, who have faced the obstacles and overcome the obstacles, and it's just a great, you know, community of support as everyone's on their journey.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of good camaraderie there, and we have food, we have clothing, we have kits, toiletry,
Yep.
hygiene kits. We have a lot of things going on. So when a person comes to the office for orientation, you'll get to see that we have the computers, we have the telephones, we have the mail. You can receive mail there.
Right.
So if you come in for orientation Tuesday or Thursday at 10
Yeah,
o'clock,
I'm going to show that again. New vendor orientation every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 12. So while we get ready for our next segment, Alan, you do a weekly show, or a show. You do a weekly show. You do a weekly column in the magazine called Vendors Corner. You want
Vendors
to talk
Corner.
about that for a second?
Yes, Vendors Corner is for the vendors, by the vendors, and to the vendors. And what it is it's a way of keeping vendors informed on what's going on in the office and how they can promote their personal business, because this is like an entrepreneurship thing, whereas people that sell the papers are actually their own bosses, okay, put it that way. They are own bosses and they are entrepreneurs. And being an entrepreneur, that brings us to this special segment of the program. We have a special guest, Ellie Youngquist. Thank you, Ellie, for coming on the show. And Ellie, the reason why I would love to interview you on this show, because you have played a very significant role with Streetwise as far as support. Okay, a lot of people think that Streetwise is just all about the money, but it's not all about the money. It's about support. You know, when people support Streetwise buying a paper, that's good support. But it's also good to give encouraging words to a vendor. Say something like, "You're doing a great job. Continue to keep up the good work." That's support. And sometimes vendors need that kind of support. And this is where Ellie came in and really demonstrated support to the vendors, and she demonstrated support in such a special way. I'm glad to have her here, and first of all, we would like for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Elise Youngquist. I'm 10 years old. I'm going into 5th grade and at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Academy.
Okay, wonderful. And can you tell me what really brought you to Streetwise?
Well, my mom already worked there, so we were there already a lot. And I just found it interesting. I was like already immediately interested in the way Streetwise works.
So you like people?
Yes, I like to help people.
You like to help people. Oh, and that's what Streetwise is basically about. It's people helping people. You know, that's what I really like about Streetwise is people do help you when you're trying to help yourself. And you saw that, and then not only did you see that, but you saw a way that you could help Streetwise vendors. And what way did you come up with?
Well, I made signs. So I looked up quotes and I made signs for Streetwise vendors to look up at and be motivated.
Okay, I actually did a vendor's corner on you some months ago, and what it was about was, you know, how even though Ellie is young, but she still wants to contribute toward helping Streetwise vendors. And some of the ways that you help vendors was not only come up with these slogans, but you also wrote them down, okay? And we have some slogans here that you came up with and was wrote down. These are posted up all over the office. And this is one of them. Okay, can you read it for us, please?
If you get no for an answer, remember, no means next opportunity.
Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. No means next opportunity. And so that was very motivational to our vendors, because these signs are posted up in the office. Next sign.
No matter how you feel, get up,
This is my favorite
dress
one.
up, show up, and don't give up.
This is my favorite one. No matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and don't give up. This is really for the vendors, okay? If you don't get up, if you don't show up, it's not going to happen. So you have to get up, you have to show up in order to make it happen. So this is very motivational. I like that one. Next one is...
End is not the end. In fact, end means effort never dies.
Now, is that good or is that good? I really like that. That's really good, okay? And so these signs are posted up in the office to motivate the vendors, right? And then not only do it motivate vendors, but you in the audience, you can see that this could motivate you too, okay? So Elliot, thank you so much. And one more, we got some more signs we'd like to share with you. Now this is a really good one too.
If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you.
Okay, are you up for the challenge? Are you up for the challenge to come and sell some Streetwise magazines? This is what I'm talking about. Are you up for the challenge? Okay, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And what you want is change. You know, you want a better change. You want to be in a better position than what you was. Okay, and A matter of fact, our time is up, and we'd like to thank you, and we'd like to thank our special guest, Elliot. Thank you for coming out and for sharing with us, and thank you for sharing with Streetwise. And we'd like you to remember orientation, vendor orientation, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock. All is welcome. Thank you so much for tuning us in, and thank you for coming. Ellie Yanquez. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.